Shavua Tov. Good evening, everybody.
I'd
like to share with you a letter. If it sounds familiar, it's because I read out this letter last year, just before we began the Ilah of Yom Kippur. And I thought it was appropriate to read this letter again as we enter. Now we begin Slichot. We really enter the period of Yamim Noraim. And it's a letter that was written by Captain Daniel Toef, Zichro Livracha, Shem Yikom Damo. He was 23 years old. He was a soldier in the Givati Infantry Brigade, and he was killed in an explosion in Rafiach. And like so many others, he left a letter in the event that something should happen to him. A letter which he wrote a few days before going into Gaza. And posthumously it was published, and this is what he said. These are the words with which he left us. He said, when I was a child, my grandparents always told me that when I grow up, there would be no more wars and we wouldn't need an army. Very quickly, I realized that this is not true, because I learned to understand what the people of Israel, the land of Israel, and the state of Israel are. That in every generation they rise up to destroy us, and God saves us from their hand. We are in a historic moment, a moment that will be remembered for generations, and we are privileged to take part in this history. Another chapter in the story of the Jewish people. Each chapter in our people's story begins with one thing: the internal disputes within our nation. When we dare to think that someone who thinks differently from us is invalid, defective, not part of the people, not part of us. Whenever our internal crises arrive, national disasters follow. Just as happened to us, babies were slaughtered, families were cut down, and we were left here in our IDF uniforms, needing to protect our people. And then he continues. Now it's our turn to carry the burden and take responsibility for the people of Israel. Like Avraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov, each with their trials, Moshe, who brought the people to the land, Yoshua, who conquered the land, David and Shlomo, the kings of Israel, Esther and Mordechai, the Maccabees, the paramilitary groups before the state, the partisans, the Jews in the Holocaust, the IDF soldiers. Through the generations, they all took responsibility for their people. Now it is out. A month and a half ago, as he writes, was Rosh Hashanah. Aseret Yomei Teshuvah, the 10 days of repentance, and Yom Kippur. We all prayed, as we will pray shortly, for the collective. And personally, what I strive to focus on most is praying for a good life. Not merely that we will live another year and not die. The intention is that we will have lives of meaning, of doing good for the people of Israel and the land of Israel. I always direct my prayers toward this goal and ask for lives dedicated to the collective, giving to the people and the land. Lives where we can make the world a better place, where we can make our people better. This is the purpose of life. And I've reached a moment where I have had the privilege to do this and to live this life, to do good for the people of Israel with my very body. I read this letter as he writes just before Rosh Hashanah. I thought to myself, Daniel understood what these days are about. He understood what this moment really means. And as we stand here on the first night of Slichot, the question being asked of us is, do we? Do we understand our place in Jewish history? Do we understand that we are not just entering another year? Do we understand that standing here and reciting Slichot, as we'll do in a few moments, is not about going through the motions? It's about thinking, how can we make a meaningful change to our lives and a meaningful change to our people? The Dubno Maggid tells a beautiful mashal. He tells the story of a villager a villager who wanted to experience what life was like in the big city. And so he went, he gathered his belongings, he went on the train, he found a room right next to the town square. And he was walking and he saw outside the people coming and going and all the big things that he had never seen in his village. And eventually he went to sleep and he was awoken at 3 o'clock in the morning. 3 o'clock in the morning, somebody walked into the town square with a big pot. And he was banging on the pot. And he awoke, startled by the confusion. He said, "What's going on? What is this?" And the people said to him, come to the town square, you'll see. And he goes out and he sees this individual banging and banging on the pot. And people start to come from all directions, carrying buckets, carrying jugs of water. And somebody says to him, "There is a fire. He's the town messenger. When he bangs on the pot, everybody knows." And everybody knows there is a fire that needs to be extinguished, and they all followed. The fire was put out. Everybody went back to sleep. And a few days later, he returned to his home, returned to his village. And lo and behold, a few days after he returns, in the middle of the night, there is pandemonium in the village because there is a fire. And this is a small village and nobody knows what to do. And he steps forward and he says, "Don't worry. I've been to the big city. I've seen what they do when they have a fire. I will handle this." And he runs back to his kitchen and he comes out with a pot. And he starts banging and banging and banging on the pot. And the people around him say, "What are you doing?" He says, "Don't worry. We bang on the pot. I was in the big city. We bang on the pot and the fire goes out." They didn't laugh. Because the next morning, the entire village had burnt down. Says the Dubna Magid, how many times do we come? How many times do we come to Slichot and we bang on the pot, we bang on our chest, we say, "Hashamnu, Bagadnu, Gazalnu," but does it mean anything? Is there really a meaningful change taking place? Is there really a meaningful process of tshuva? Or are we doing our best to extinguish the fire? Or are we like that villager? Like that villager just banging on the pot? How many times, I speak for myself, and I say, how many times have I stood here banging on the pot? And so I believe the first question we need to ask ourselves tonight, the first question we need to answer when we come to Slichot, we approach is, how do we make sure that it's real? How do we make sure that we aren't just banging again? So the first step is awareness. A recognition of the unique time that we are in, a recognition of the unique responsibility that every one of us has. And a recognition, as I said, that this cannot just be another year. We have not just experienced, we said it last year as well, but this year, how much more so? This has been a unique year for many reasons. And it cannot be business as usual. So we recognize the awesome responsibility that we have. We recognize the greatness of this moment. And at the same time, we need to recognize the power that we have. Yes. The power that every single one of us has. And I'll explain why. Lest we say mistakenly, who are we? What can we do? What difference can I make? So first of all, the Rambam tells us that is not true. And that is not the way to think about this. The Rambam in Hilchot Teshuvah, he first tells us, not in the same words as the Dubna Magid, but he tells us don't bang on the pot. There is a hint in the blowing of the shofar on Rosh Hashanah, and we would add throughout Elul, throughout all the process of Slichot. And that hint is, Uru, Uru, Yishanim, Mishnatchem, Hakitzu, Nidamim, Mitadamatchem. Wake up! Chipsu b'masechem, chizru b'tshuva. Let's change our ways. Let's do real tshuva. Zichru b'lachem. Elu השוכחים את האמת בעוולה הזמן ושוגים כל שנתם בהבל ובליק. Those who waste away their days and forget in nothingness. That was the time to remember, to wake up, to realize our purpose. And then he says, לפיכך, צריך כל אדם שיראה עצמו כל השנה כולו כאילו חציו חייו, חציו זכאי וחציו חייו. A person needs to view himself as if it's perfectly poised, 50-50. Both myself and view the entire world that way. View yourself as if every deed that you perform will make the difference. Will make the difference for me, will make the difference for the world at large. But I think we have a particular focus tonight. We have a particular energy and a particular power that we can tap into. When we get to the end of Slichot, and many people have remarked to me this year, last year, over the years, we come to Slichot, we don't understand the words, we don't know what we are saying. It's true that many of the Piyutim are challenging. It's true that there are many passages we don't understand. But it's not correct to say that we don't understand anything in this book. There are the psukim we say at the beginning, night after night, we can understand them, we can realize what they mean. There are the sections we say at the end that we say the same night after night if we stop and we pause. And I would suggest to you, don't rush to finish with the Chazan. If you get to the end and you take a little bit longer, that's okay. But one of the paragraphs we say towards the end of Slichot, we say, Mi she'ana. We go through a list, we say, Ribono shel olam HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you answered Avraham Avinu v'Hara Moriah. Answer us too. You answered Yitzchak as he stood at the Akedah. Answer us too. You answered Yaakov and Yosef, Moshe and Aaron, Pinchas, Yoshua. We go through the list. The greatest tzaddikim, the greatest leaders in our history, all of them, they prayed, and the Ribono shel olam, you answered them. And we conclude. Mi she'ana lekol hatzaddikim, hachasidim, hatmimim v'yesharim hu ya'aneinu. He who answered all the righteous, the devout, the wholesome, and the upright, may he answer us. I don't know if you've ever wondered when you said these words, what chutzpah? What chutzpah do we have? What gives us the right to say? Can I really say, put myself on the same level as Avraham Avinu, as Yitzchak Avinu, Kol HaTzadikim, Kol HaTmimim, all the greatest people in history? Of course HaKadosh Baruch Hu answered them. And so therefore he should answer me. Who am I? What right do I have to make such a request? Mi she'ana lekol hatzadikim. Little bit of humility. Little bit of self-recognition. I don't mean to depress you, but... And then we continue. We switch the language. We switch into Aramaic, the language we're told that the Malachim don't understand. And we say, Rachmana da'anei la'aniyeh anena. He who answers the poor, answer us. Rachmana da'anei l'tvirei liba anena. He who answers the broken-hearted, answer us. Rachmana da'anei l'makichei rucha anena. He who answers the humble of spirit, answer us. We may not be tzaddikim, we may not be chasidim, we may not be tmimim or yisharim, but I think it's fair to say that this year of all years, we are shvorei lev. We're broken heart. And we are taught the power of a broken heart. We are taught that one who prays with the power of a broken heart can break through so many barriers. We say in Tehillim, Karov Hashem lenishbarei lev. Hashem is close to those who have a broken heart. V'takei ruach yoshia. And I don't believe that there is a single person in this community, in this room, who does not approach Slichot this year with a broken heart. Firstly, on a personal level, on a communal level, we see the empty seats. The empty seats of those who are no longer with us. This happens every year, but this year is different. Tomorrow night, we'll gather here at the end of the Shloshim. Rabbi wine. Zecher Tzadik Livracha. A month later, how difficult it still is to say those words. For the first time, we approach Yamim Noraim without our teacher, our mentor, guide, one of the true Gdolim of Klal Yisrael. How angry he would get with me for saying those words. His deep humility. I think we all recognize what we have lost. Now he is no longer with us. One of the psukim that we say when we open the Aron, and one of the psukim that we repeat responsively in the Slichot. Al tashlichenu leitzikna v'ruach kodshecha al tikach mimenu. I remember learning many years ago, it's two psukim there, but ruach kodshecha al tikach mimenu. I remember learning many years ago from our Rabbi in Yeshiva that ruach kodshecha refers to the sages, to the great chachamim in every generation. So what if they were old? Ruach kodshecha al tikach mimenu, we daven to the Ribono shel Olam, don't take them away from us. This past year, that prayer was not answered. So we are left with a broken heart. On a national level, our hearts are broken. Our hearts are broken that over 900 soldiers have fallen. Our hearts are broken that close to 50 hostages are still languishing in Gaza. This morning, we read the psukim of the Tochecha. I could not help but be struck by certain psukim. Certain verses that we read every year, and probably don't give too much thought. Torah warns us, Banim uvanot tolid, v'lo yiyu lach, yilchu bashevi. Your sons and your daughters will go off in captivity. We are warned, and will send an enemy against you who will subjugate you, bala'av, uvitzama, in hunger and in thirst. We are warned that we will face a goy az panim, asher lo yisa panim lezaken, v'na'ar lo yachon. A brazen nation that will show no respect neither to the elderly nor to the children. Your great and fortified walls will come crashing down. There's a well-known story of the Kenigsberg Rabbi who survived the Shoah. And on a Shabbat, when the Baal Koreh was reading the Tochacha in a soft voice, as is the custom in some places, he told him louder. louder. And he got up and declared, we have nothing to fear for anymore. Don't read the Tochacha in a whisper. All these curses have already come true. Now is the time for the brachot. And we've seen many brachot. But tonight we stand here broken-hearted at having seen those curses fulfilled once again. And finally, our hearts are broken because we look around us and we see a world that has lost the ability to distinguish right from wrong, good from evil, light from darkness. And so our hearts are broken for our community, for our people, indeed for our world. And suddenly all the words of the Slichot and all the words that we're about to say and over the Yamim Noraim begin to take on such a profound and such a deep meaning, words that we thought were no longer relevant to us. All of a sudden they are. And we're aware. We're aware of the brokenness that exists in our world and in our hearts. And of course, the point of this is not to lead us into despair, but it's to harness the pain. It's to access the depths of our heart. And even if we don't understand the words, let us feel the melody. Let us feel the mood. Let's remember, as the Kenigsberg Rabbi said, that there is nothing more complete than a broken heart. And finally, that leads us. Once we are aware, and once we recognize where we are and what we are doing, that global contemplation of our situation should lead and must lead to a profound and deeply personal cheshbon nefesh. As we say the words of Yud Gimel Midot HaRachamim, the 13 attributes of mercy, we'll say again and again, and Chazal say, HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells us, Ya'asu lefanai kaseder hazeh. Whenever we're in trouble, we do. Not just that we say, but that we perform, that we become these attributes of mercy, and then Hashem will answer us. We have to change. We have to act. We have to think of something. We can't be the same people that we were before any of this happened. We all know that we begin saying Slichot on a Motzei Shabbat at least 4 days before Rosh Hashanah. That's why this year we're starting early. We have 8 full days of Slichot before we get to Yom Adin. Why 4 days? The Poskim explain that when one has a korban, when one brings a sacrifice in the Beit HaMikdash, one needs to inspect it for 4 days to make sure there is no blemish, to make sure there is no mum. Without 4 days of inspecting, we cannot be sure that it is wholesome. In Rosh Hashanah, we would approach before the King of Kings. We need to be ready. We need to inspect ourselves. This year we have not just 4, but 8 days in which to do so. Let us not just go through the motions. Let us not just bang on the pot. Let us truly harness the power of a broken heart. The Navi Hosea says, we'll read it on Shabbat Shuvah, K'chu imachem dvarim v'shuvu el Hashem. Take something with you. Each and every one of us can find something we can do, something we can give, something we can use and come to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and say, our hearts are broken. Kedalemu kerashim, we are poor, we have nothing. But something we can do. We have the next 8 days to figure out, each one of us, what that will be. And when we bring that to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, may He answer in kind. May we all be blessed. Tichleh shana v'killotea. May the year and its curses end. Techel shana v'birkotea. The new year begin. The new year with its blessings. Blessings of life. Blessings of peace. Blessings of Geulah Shlema.
That recorded.
Hmm?
Recorded.
Yeah.